Well, good evening, everyone. So glad you're able to tune in with us on tonight. You have just tuned in with Curtis and Susie live teed up on Friday night. We're so excited to have those of you that have tuned in with us to join in with us on tonight. Susie, what do you have to say to the people on tonight?
You know what I always say, guys? Grab your bae, grab your boo, your honey, your sweet thing. Tell them it's time to tune in with Curtis and Susie for Teed Up on Friday nights. Also, I want you to go to our YouTube page and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. We need some subscribers on our YouTube page. It's Tddup Marriage Podcast. Subscribe and also click the notification button so you'll receive notifications when we would come on. And then we want you to tell another couple about Teed Up. Tell them every other Friday we have this wonderful couple that comes on with Teed Up. So invite your friends.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I want to encourage those of you that are listening and those of you that are tuning in with us. Come on in and invite others to share with them. This is a podcast where my wife and I, we sit down and we discuss marital issues and also try to build young couples. Susan and myself, we have been married for 34 years. We got married when we was pretty young. You know, we were babies then.
Yes,
but at
the
same time, we were very young when we got married, and God has allowed us to stay together for more than 34 years. This is We're getting ready to turn to our 35th year
in August
of wedding. Our wedding anniversary is going to be in August, and we'll be married for 35 years. So I just want to say this right here. We want to share with you from the marriage perspective, both biblically and also experiential. We have been counseling couples for over 10, 15 years. The latter part of our ministry, we did it earlier, and but now we're getting back into it. And so we want to definitely invite those of you who are married, those of you who are thinking about getting married, those of you that are engaged, we want to share with you some of the pitfalls of marriages and marriage and some of the blessings and the benefits of marriage. But we want you to tune in with us so that we can have that conversation with you.
Yes. So when you tune in, we want you to give us thumbs up and likes, and then put some comments in the comment section as well. And if you have questions that you want us to answer, we will entertain a few questions at the end of the podcast. But once you tune in, put a comment in there and say, hey, we're tuning in, we're enjoying it. Thumbs up, hearts, let us know you're there.
Absolutely. And I want to also thank some of my coworkers that tune in with us periodically. Come on back in. We want to definitely share with you some of those tools that's going to help strengthen your marriage and your relationship. We talk about things from children raising to finance to sexual things that happen in the marriage. We just talk about a whole plethora of things when it comes to marriage. But more so, what we talk about is what is God's idea about marriage? Who was the architect of marriage, and why was marriage put in the earth realm for men and women to engage in marriage? What was in the mind of the architect, who is God, when he initially erected the institution of marriage? What was God thinking about when he done that? And so a lot of time we enter into marriage, Susie, not even understanding what marriage is supposed to be for and what was God's original intent. It wasn't your grandparent idea about marriage. Marriage was God's idea. So in order for, I believe, Susan and I believe that in order for you to have a successful marriage, just like any other element in life, you have to understand what it's for. What was God's intention when he brought Eve to Adam and told them to be fruitful and multiply? What was in the heart and in the mind of God when he initially presented that to them. That's what we want to get you to understand. And I believe if we get you to understand, I believe the marriages would be stronger, families would be more united. But tonight, that's not what we want to talk about. What we're going to talk about on tonight, we have a very good topic that we want to talk about I believe is going to help strengthen your relationship. These are some elements, some tools that we use to strengthen young couples. That's a part of our ministry, and enabling them to that their marriages will be stronger.
So tonight, but before we begin, I see we have a few people join in. Go ahead and give us some comments or thumbs up, letting us know that you are there watching with us. Again, put some likes, hearts, and I see if you have questions, you can put that in there as well, and we will answer them at the end of the podcast.
Absolutely.
But tonight, we are going to talk about the love languages. Now, that's important to know when you're in a relationship, to know your spouse's love language, to know how that individual likes to be loved, how they would feel love. So tonight we're going to talk about each one of those, and then we're going to go into our in-house session. And like I mentioned before, if you want to be a part of the in-house session, just inbox me and we can give you more details on how to become a part of our in-house T.D.D.U.P. But tonight, like I said, we're going to talk about the 5 love languages.
Absolutely. And man, I want you to tune in, because these are very good nuggets that help aid you in understanding how your wife desired to be loved and to be cared for. Also, women, we want you to take interest in this as well, because there's a way that your husband desired to be cared for in the relationship. And so what's so critically important is this. Susie and I, we've been married for 34 years, and Susie is responsible for meeting my needs, and I'm responsible for meeting her needs. I don't fulfill my needs. That's her responsibility, and my responsibility is to fulfill her needs. And so we want to kind of engage you in this conversation on tonight, and we are looking forward to getting some feedback from those of you that are listening, so that we can help encourage you in the area that you have a concern in. So with that being said,
so in order for me to do that, I have to understand his love language and vice versa. He has to understand mine. So we have to communicate. So tonight, like I said, we're going to talk about love languages. And so I want to start off with saying, in a kingdom marriage, you're saying yes to responsibility, not a role. And it's your responsibility, like he said, to meet each other's needs. And if your spouse is the only, as I guess you can look at it as like a store that you can shop out of, so you want to make sure that your store is stocked with what he or she needs.
Absolutely.
So they won't have to go to a different store. Make sure your store is fully stocked.
Absolutely.
And then, so I guess we want to go ahead and
Get
start
right
off
into
talking
these.
about the different love languages. And I heard someone ask the question, do you know how to tell your spouse how to love you? What makes you feel loved? Can you express that?
And I think that's very critical, Susie, that each individual should know how to express what their desire is to their significant other, in order for that significant other to cater to their needs.
Mm-hmm. So tonight, the first one that we want to talk about is words of affirmation. Words of affirmation, that's a verbal expression of love, appreciation, and encouragement. So that's a person that likes to hear "I love you" often. They thrive on when they're encouraged by others, when they're encouraged by their spouse. So if your spouse is someone that likes words of affirmation, then you want to say more I love yous and thank yous. You matter to me, and
Absolutely.
I appreciate you for whatever it is that they do. So they want to hear a lot of encouragement, basically, with words
Absolutely.
of affirmation.
And see, I think that's one of that's my love language is words of affirmation. So I like to be buttered up. Your husband, he might like to be buttered up, or she might like to be buttered up. She you have to encourage them with telling them how much you care for them, how much you love them. There has to be because you got to remember. They want that from you as their significant other, as their spouse. So they're looking for those words to come from you, and not just every now and then.
On a regular basis.
Yeah. A lot of time we say stuff like that on Mother's Day,
Valentine's
Day. But if my love language is words of affirmation, then that is something, Susie, that I should be hearing
daily
from my wife on a regular basis. Because see, you got to remember. Like I said, we're a Christian-based couple, and I want you to understand that Satan will always try to infiltrate the marriage through I call it baiting. He will put things in the vision of the spouse. If they're not getting what they need at home, if they're not getting that words of affirmation from the one who's supposed to be giving it to them, and then someone outside of the relationship begin to give that that husband
those
or that
words
wife
of
those
affirmation,
words of affirmation, then it can become problematic. Absolutely, it can become problematic. So we want to make for sure
that our store is stocked.
That our store is stocked with what our significant other need. That's critically important. So we want to put that out there, because if we don't, then we run the risk of becoming lackadaisical in our responsibilities.
So we again, words of affirmation is one. And like you say, you want to hit on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
Daily, you should say some type of encouraging word daily. If it's as simple as thank you for breakfast, thank you for dinners,
Absolutely. So if your spouse, if your husband is a person who he likes words of affirmation, then those words should not be coming from without, they should be coming from within. So what we're trying to show you is that we're trying to build our spouse. We're trying to build our relationship. And so if you're trying to build your relationship, then these are the words of that you should build them with. You should be affirming your husband or your wife.
Right.
With their love language.
And also too, when you take there's a quiz that you can take by Gary Chapman, and it tells you what your love language is. And then it
Repeat
scores.
that again. What's that author name?
Gary Chapman.
Gary
Chapman has a love language quiz, and on there it shows you the percentage for each one. Because some people say, "Well, I like something from all of them." Well, of course you will, but one is weighs more heavier. It's more important to you than the other.
Right.
And on the test, it'll show you this percentage for words of affirmation, this percentage for acts of service, for gifts, for quality time, physical time. It show you the percentage for each one, but one is more than the other. So whichever one is dominant, whichever one is dominant, that's your love language. Right. Now, of course, you may like some of the others, but your dominant one is considered your love language. So I just wanted to put that out there, because some people say, well, I have something from each one of them.
Yeah. And so Susan and I, we've taken that test, and we've determined, the test determined which is our love language.
Like you said, yours was
mine is words of affirmation, and Susan's is acts of service,
which is the next one that we're going to talk about. Acts of service, and it's selfless, thoughtful acts that makes a person's life easier. And then if you're that means that you're someone that helps without being asked. You like someone to help without being asked to do it.
Right.
Actions speak louder than words for this person. So if your spouse is this person that likes acts of service.
Yeah.
You want to make them meals, do a chore or two for them around the house, run a few errands, run
Run
a bubble
some
bath.
There you go. And give them a massage.
Pop them some popcorn or something like that.
Absolutely. They like. And Susan,
Service.
she likes to be serviced. She
Without
exactly. She like her feet to be rubbed. She like all of these different acts of service, and that's where her dominant trait lies in acts of service. So again, if you go on there, you will find out what your love language is, so that it's important that you know
that.
so that you know how to render service to your spouse.
We are to serve each other.
Exactly.
And if you don't know what makes that person feel loved, how can you do it?
Exactly. And after all, you are responsible for fulfilling all of your spouse or your wife or your husband's needs in every department. So that's critically important. And what I want to say to couples who are thinking about getting married, those of you that have been married for a short time, you want to make sure that you begin to learn your spouse so that you'll know how to build on that in that relationship.
Yep. And you, in order to know them, you have to communicate.
Absolutely.
Communicate. And so the next love language we're going to talk about is gifts. Now, we all like gifts. But that's one love language, and it's you pride yourself on thoughtful gifts. You most appreciate meaningful gifts. So if your spouse is this person that likes gifts or that's their love language,
don't go get them a gift card.
Surprise them with gifts outside of special occasions.
Right.
Bring home their favorite treat or snack, something that they like. Buy or make them a gift, something that's personal. They appreciate gifts. So
Right.
It can be a gift card. It can be flowers, or if your wife likes Cheetos or, whatever her snack is, or ice cream.
Well, the reason why I said gift card, because I know one of my coworkers, him and we had a conversation, and he don't like gift cards.
Because he don't feel like it's personal.
He don't feel like it's personal.
Mm-hmm.
So that again means that you have to go and learn.
So he want her to go get something for him. So, she took out time.
Exactly.
To see, well, I know he like this, or I like that, or I know he like this smell of cologne, to get a cologne. So you have to put some thought. A gift card, you just get something. Here you just go get whatever you want.
Exactly.
No thought really put into a gift card. So
you have to,
again,
that's communicating. You have to know how to communicate with your significant other, because communication is the key. It's the key to flourishing marriage or relationship. If you know how to communicate properly, that's in every capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Men, we a lot of time we become poor communicators. We don't read minds, neither do our wives read our mind. So we have to make sure that we are opening up our mouth and declaring out of our mouth what it is that we desire from our wife or our husband. You have to make sure, you have to be clear when you're communicating.
And so the next love language is quality time.
Oh, this is one, man. Oh, my goodness. I used to hear this word repeatedly about quality time. Time is important, and your wife and your husband, they need some real quality time. Not just a few moments of men. Sometimes we can have a few moments of pleasure, and then we think that's all it is to it. Well, no, that's not how it works. When you talk about
what do you mean when you say a
time,
few moments of pleasure?
Well, in the bedroom, sometimes we can
you talking about sex?
In that department, we can say, okay, it's a few minutes, but a woman desires, and not just women, sometimes men also desire to have real quality time with you. They don't.
So she don't want a wham bam thank you man.
No,
once it's over, what she wants you to do?
She wants to talk about it.
She wants you to hold her.
She wants you to hold it. She wants you to talk about it. So we have to learn as men and women as well, what your partner, your wife or your husband desire is for you at that moment.
Yeah. So, quality time. You make time for others. You feel disconnected when you don't spend enough time together.
And not
So-
only Susie, do you feel disconnected, you really become disconnected
If you don't
there's
spend enough time.
There's no quality time. When you spending quality time, it's getting to know your partner. You're building memories. You're building
Creating memories. You're learning each other.
Yeah, you're learning each other. So you have to spend quality time. If your relationship is going to be strong and if it's going to continue to grow, you must spend quality time doing it.
Via date nights.
Yes.
Or then when you get together on your date nights, or if you just spending time together, turn off the phone so you can spend some uninterrupted time. Sit together and let's just talk about how your day was.
Absolutely.
That's considered some quality time. We don't want to talk about bills. We're just gonna talk about, hey, how was your day today? Or something funny may have happened, or maybe something bad may have happened. But you wanted to make sure you take time to say, how was your day? Spend some time with one another. That's the way that you connect and bond and learn each other.
Absolutely.
And so the last one is the physical touch. Touch.
Oh yeah.
Connection
Absolutely.
through appropriate physical touch, non-sexual and sexual.
Yeah.
Both are important. This person here, that if this is their love language, they're considered like a touchy-feely person.
And now
feel most love when you're embraced or touched.
And like Susie said earlier, it might not be your dominant trait, but it falls in the category of a percentage. So that's one of the things that that's one of the love languages: touching and feeling and hugging. And some people like to be caressed. Some people like to be held. When your spouse reach out to touch you, and then you frowning up and you don't want to be bothered.
Or you pushing them away. I thought you was playing. After a while, they're like, wait a minute, you say that every time.
Yeah.
Or you rejecting me. What's really going on?
Is that they can really feel rejected when there is no reciprocal type of response on the significant other part, or the husband or the wife part. When there's no reciprocal response, then they can feel slighted, and we want to make for sure that our wife and husband don't feel slighted or neglected in our relationship, because that can push them away and cause them to be.
So touch them.
Yeah, make sure you hold their hand and
give them some hugs.
Absolutely.
Be generous with affection and other types of PDA, which is public display of affection. Now, some people don't like public display of affection. What about you?
Well, it really doesn't matter to me if it is.
So you don't mind kissing in public?
I don't mind kissing in public, but I don't want to be, making out in public. That's another department, another conversation for another time. But yeah,
so
some
you
people
want to give a pucker up in the.
Yeah, I don't mind giving a kiss, but I don't want to be.
And what about a hug? A long hug.
I don't mind giving a hug. But
what about a long hug?
No, it's not a problem with that. But you see some people standing up displaying affection for about 5 minutes. And, I'm not.
What you get a room?
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that'll holler, get a room. But yeah, we want to make for sure that we are being affectionate toward our wife and husband, because we don't want to push them away. That they're supposed to be able to shower you with their love and to express their love to you,
And touch them, with the physical touch. They want to be touched.
Absolutely.
And then give prioritize the sex. If this person is a physical touch, to prioritize the sex. Sex is important in every relationship.
Absolutely.
But you want to make sure you prioritize the sex. Know how much they like it, and how often, different things that they like about it. Communicate that. You can't just expect for them to know. I was watching a little clip the other day, and it was a couple. They had been married, and so the wife kissed him, and then he said, "Here, let me show you. This is how I like for you to kiss me." And she took to offense to it, and they hadn't kissed in 2 years.
Husband and wife?
Husband and wife.
Oh, wow.
And so they was on the show, and they was asking her, and by her feeling some type, she said she felt some type of way. And so he started not want to have sex because he felt like, she didn't want to kiss. So he felt like he was being rejected because she was like, well, since he don't want me to kiss him like this, so I just won't kiss him at all. So it went on for 2 years. And
Poor
so
communication.
He started feeling rejected. And so they hadn't had sex or anything. And so they was asking her, how did it make her? She didn't even remember what it was, how she felt. She said, I just remember it made me feel some type of way that I didn't like. And so they talked about it, and they kissed on the show or whatever. But my thing was, so if who is he supposed to tell? If he don't like it, this is what I like. So, she should be receptive and say, okay, well, this is the kind of kiss he likes. So let me not take offense to it.
Right.
But I was just surprised how she said it made her feel some type of way, and they hadn't kissed in 2 years.
Wow, that's incredible. So, what we want to try to do here, those of you that are listening to us on tonight, we want to try to build relationships, in the African American community, Hispanic community, and it's across the board now, where families are falling apart. There's no more traditional family values that we ascribe to here in this country. But I believe that I believe wholeheartedly that what God has established, that we should not let anyone come in and destroy it or tear it down. We have to re-engage God's original intent for marriage. And I believe that if we re-engage God's original intent, I believe that we will begin to rebuild families the way God intended it to be, Susie. And I think that it begins with the church. I think it begins with an understanding of God's original intent for marriage. And I believe once we get a grasp on that, I believe that we will really begin to soar and have a good understanding of what marriage is supposed to be for. So, Susan and I, God have blessed us to start this podcast, and we certainly want it to continue as long as necessary. But what we want to do, we want to encourage those of you that are listening at us tonight. We want you to join in with us on every other Friday night. We're anticipating a swelling of people coming in, and that way we can begin to really grow this marriage podcast into something large, and to be able to help couples and to show them through the Word of God and through experiences that we have experienced in that other couple. One thing, Susie, that really encouraged me is that when we have our in-house setting, couples begin to open up and they begin to talk about things that impact them, and other couples begin to say, well, we had the same experiences, and it iron sharpens iron, and it helped other couples to open up, and we begin to problem solve. We begin to brainstorm, and we begin to solve problems that people have in their relationship, but they just didn't know how to express it or know how to communicate it with someone. And then those of us who have a good understanding, we help counsel them through their situation.
So yeah, that's why it's important to have these sessions, so we can help them strengthen their relationships and let them see that Black love matters and it can last. Yeah. So with that being said, we're going to close.
Before we close, let me say this right here. One thing about it is this right here. People don't know how marriages is supposed to work if they've never been married. So that's where we come in, try to help aid you in understanding what a marriage is supposed to be. So we're looking forward to those of you that are listening to us to continue to tune in with us. At some point, we're going to say something that's going to impact your life. I guarantee you that.
Yes. So that's it.
With that being said, we want to thank those of you that tuned in with Curtis and Susie on Friday night with T.D.Up. And we're looking forward to seeing you here on next time. So Susie, as we often say,
Thank you for tuning in.
for tuning in with us on T.D.U.P. God bless you is our prayer. We'll see you next time.